Oh, we're
Yes.
off. Hello, Kim Spearman. I'm Shane. It's
Hi,
lovely to meet you. And
I'm
like,
Julie.
hello from Sydney.
Hello from London.
Have you ever been to Australia? Like, have you ever visited down under?
No, I haven't, but I really want to. My one of my close friends lives in Sydney, so I think it's time that I head out there in the next couple of years for sure. It looks stunning, so yeah.
It is. And like, I just want to know because we're about to talk about a shark movie that you did, and there's lots of sharks in Australia. Is that something that you're comfortable with if you come down under? Would you be able to like go surfing or swimming?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely no surfer, but my partner's from Cape Town. I spend a lot of time over there, and I think they have a very similar shark vibe. Um, and we're always in the sea, we're always diving and snorkeling and all of those things. And you can't, you gotta have a healthy fear and respect for the ocean, but also enjoy it too, right? It's a treat.
Exactly. And I mean, I'm guessing part of the role that you play, Sam, in The
Mhm.
Last Breath, is diving. You're a doctor. And like, were you ready for that? Was a lot of it filming in tanks or were you on location? How did that work out for you?
So the process for filming was, I mean, they sent us for a lot of dive prep, and I'd done a bit of free diving and scuba before, and
Mm,
done a fair amount of underwater shooting, and I adore the water. Like yeah, I adore it. So to be able to combine those two things was amazing. Production were very like big on the prep and making sure that we were ready for shooting the interiors because everything was in a tank with a lid on, and
right.
it was pretty much pitch black. So when we did the auditions, it was kind of pitched to us like this is going to be like acting underwater in a lift in the dark. Like you're not going to be able to see anything. And so they actually sent us cave diving to get used to that, which was incredible. And like some of the cast had done a bit of scuba, some of us had never scubaed or anything. So they sent us out to Malta where we worked with the dive team that worked on the film. And we went night diving, cave diving, did all the diving, and they were fantastic and taught us how to use those like special over the head scuba masks so that
Mm.
when it came to it, we were like ready to go, being there like 10 hours a day in the tank. And then we shot all the exteriors in Malta, which was stunning.
Yeah. Yeah, it looked great. I've not been to Malta, but there's some movies that have been filmed over there, and it just makes me want to go over. I
Yeah.
mean, it must have been almost like a working holiday for you, maybe.
Oh my God, it was such a treat. And you know what? Malta is so beautiful. And if you, our dive team that went through everything on us, Dive Med were, I mean, they do so many films out there, and they work with so many amazing people. And they're just such incredible people. And if you ever want to scuba dive in Malta, they are the people to go to. They are just, yeah, incredible.
You're the lead. Your name comes up first in the credits. You kind of, I don't want to give too much away, but you're there at the end. Is it something that you strived for? Were you handpicked for the role, or did you work? Like, did you try and work,
Um,
get the role?
yeah, I mean, the process was like quite a bit of time with auditioning, and you know, you do the first round, and then you do the second round, and then me and Jack Parr, who played Noah,
Yeah.
did the chemistry testing, which was funny because we we actually knew each other before filming, and I had no idea
Okay.
he was coming in. So I'd already been offered the role, and they were like, "Can you come do some reading with our potential Noahs?" And he came as the first person who came in, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." And he was just amazing and fab. And we knew each other from working together years ago, and but never in an acting capacity. So it was lovely to actually, work together like that. And yeah.
I was going to ask you a little bit about the cast. I'll get to
Mhm.
your co-stars shortly. In particular, Julian Sands, who I know
Yeah.
you had some scenes with, and yeah, I want to know a little bit about the late great Julian Sands. But
Mhm.
you, as a doctor, you operated underwater. I have not seen this before.
Yeah,
You
that's
basically
new.
operate and look
Yeah.
after someone underwater. This is new to me. Like, was that tricky? to do, or like it's such a new
Yeah,
concept for me.
it was. You know what? I mean, I think it was a new concept to everyone. And you know what was interesting about filming that is there was so many of us. Obviously, there's all the cast in the scene, but when we were shooting, we were very much competing with our sound not quite working. So I think
Right.
in no one's ever tried to hook that many actors up to underwater sound before. So a lot of the time when we were shooting, I would catch like one person's line and then wouldn't catch the three in between that and then catch the
Oh,
next one. So, and when you're trying to be in control of a scene, especially a scene like that, and you've got all the fake blood slowly filling up the room that we were shooting in, and then I can't see and I can't see the person and can't hear. And yeah, acting is all about listening. So suddenly you're like, oh, okay, I feel like acting in a kind of vacuum kind of situation and trying to keep it all to sort of together as a team. But it was very intense actually shooting that particular scene, especially for Arlo, who plays Logan. And I think we were all, as cliche as it sounds, we were all such good friends by that point.
right.
Um, it was actually really genuinely quite traumatic and sad. Like it was, yeah, we all had to take a bit of a break afterwards and just woosah.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it was interesting, and I remember seeing it in the script, and I was like, oh my gosh, how are we gonna do this whole situation? But our
Yeah.
director Joachim just, yeah, I think we actually smashed it out in a day, which was quite impressive considering how many moving parts there were of it.
Yeah, sure. And there's another particular scene that caught my attention, which I haven't actually seen before in a movie that concerns diving and
Mm.
underwater. Was someone brought a hip flask and you're drinking, like you were drinking and having shots. There was a few people doing that.
I mean, aren't my character was.
No.
I know. Actually, when we were doing our training as well, because all the air pocket scenes, they wanted to take us to an actual air pocket. So
Right.
we understood what that would feel like being down there and like the sort of caution and,
Mm.
and they took us down to this little two-person wide air pocket, which you sort of had to squeeze through this cave and your tank is scraping on the rock.
Yeah.
But it was incredible. You're like 10 meters down and you can take your mask off and just breathe. It was amazing. So yeah, it was funny then taking that and then shooting like such a sort of jovial scene like
Mm.
that in that sort of crazy situation that they would have been in.
Well, the movie kind of starts with a false sense of security that you guys are having a party, you're having fun,
Mhm.
and you, with your character, how did you change it up? Because you were sort of loose and happy to see this person that you hadn't seen for a while that you may or may not have had a relationship with, and
Mm.
you're at like your demeanor changes throughout, and I thought your acting really showed that. I think you had a really
Thank
good.
you.
It was a good role. It was different. It was
Thank
good.
you. Yeah, I think, it's always interesting when I first got the script and I was like, okay, she's the good doctor. There's that sort of narrative we could kind of get into that cookie cutter situation. But I was just like, she's also a doctor and she's a person and is not always well behaved, and I didn't want to play it like this sort of well behaved because we're all human and we're all,
Yeah,
and I've met a few doctors in real life. They're crazy in their social life. So like I didn't want to play her too sensible, but didn't want to go too far the other way and trying to incorporate the sort of situation with Noah and the ex
yeah.
and those sort of conflicted feelings. And yeah, so I'm glad that came across.
It did. It did. How did you get the role? Like, was it something that you were handpicked for? Did you know the director? Like, how did you
Um,
actually score the role?
So I think they were specifically looking initially for Noah and Sam's characters to be people who had dive experience. So that
Uh,
is always going to narrow the pool a little bit.
yeah,
And my agent at the time knew that and sort of saw the casting and was like, okay, I've got free dive, and there was a lot of free diving scenes for Sam's character. So that became, I guess, a bit of a niche for me. So was called in for based on that, I think, initially. And yeah, obviously fitting the sort of character breakdown. But I think the dive experience was the pull. I think with Joachim, I don't know if you've seen his other film, Breaking Surface, which is also a dive film.
Yeah.
And I think he explained how much he learned from that, and you know how intense it is shooting wise, and making sure your actors are like, you know, comfortable as possible and love the
Yeah.
water, and you know.
Oh, that's cool. How much of Kim was in Sam and how much Sam was in Kim? Was there interchangeable personality
Yeah.
traits?
I think so. I think you can't play a character unless obviously you're doing like an autobiographical
Agreed. Yeah,
film without
probably.
putting a little bit of you, even if it's like unintentionally, it sort of it goes in there. Like I think Sam's character is quite soft, and I tend to be when I first people got shy, and like so there's definitely, I think you can't help but put pieces of you in there, especially when you've been with a character for like 8 weeks or whatever shooting. You naturally sort of assimilate
Right.
a little
Right.
bit, I think. Yeah.
Was it always a CGI shark? Were you looking at nothing? Were you looking at a balloon, or was it a physical
Um,
shark at some point?
No, like, so actually, funnily enough, we had one of our safety divers, Melly. She's this incredible free diver, absolutely amazing. And she was with us the whole time, and she would sometimes be the shark, as like, 'cause she's so fast under the water, and she wouldn't need the tank or anything. So she had her
Yeah.
like grey scuba suit, a grey swim cap on, and we called her Melly Shark, and she would just whip through a scene like just to give us the eye line, but she's also super lovely and super cute. So she was our like lovely little Melly Shark, would like run through the scene because it was so dark down there. It was almost like pitch black sometimes shooting. So trying to get five
Okay.
people to find an eye line was a little chaotic, I think.
So in Jaws, the shark was called Bruce. So in your case, it was Melly Shark.
We had Melly Shark, yeah, exactly.
So when you say it was dark, did that increase your acting ability to be intense and to be in shock, like being so dark?
Yeah, definitely. It took a minute to get used to, and I know Erin, who plays Riley, when there's a scene where they're like holding on, they have to like can't get out, and I think that was really hard because
Yeah.
as well with the lights on our masks, they had to diffuse it for the camera, so it's actually reflecting right back in your face. So
Yeah.
you can't see much, but you can kind of see the reflection of your own eyes, which is also kind of eerie. Um, yeah, they definitely had a bit of impact. And when we went to shoot the exteriors, I think you got so used to being in the tank. And then suddenly,
Yeah.
on my first day on set, I was in this wide, expanse, beautiful, clear ocean. I felt like someone had shrunk me like this big. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like it was a little bit the other way overwhelming, which was very odd.
Did
Yeah.
they in the tank, did they warm the water for you? And did you have like limited time? Were you like in it for like 2 hours and then you had to get out, or was it unlimited filming time?
Um, we would go till our tanks ran out, basically, and then pop out, refill the tanks, have a coffee, get back
Yeah.
in. But it was 10 hours a day, in and out of the water. I felt like I had gills by
Wow.
the end of it.
Okay. And was
Mm.
it cold or warmed up water? What did they do for
And it
you?
was warm. I can't do cold water.
No.
Like I'm such a wuss.
Yeah. Uh, so some of your co-stars, before I get to Julian, was there anyone that you really loved working with, or stood out maybe that you
I
know
mean,
your
honestly,
colleagues?
everybody. And I,
Mm.
I, I say that with everything, like everybody. Like I think we had that pre-production prep and we'd not met each other, and then the first day being like, okay, we're going diving together. Everyone take a buddy, and it's the best like team building experience. And we all genuinely had a very good friendship, and we sort of all mutually agreed that someone's gonna have a panic attack at some point down in this tank. Like we're all gonna have to just like someone's gonna have a bad day. We're all there for each other, and like blast some steam afterwards. And yeah, everybody was genuinely just stunning to work with, and we still all talk a lot, and it's just really nice when you have that experience on set and you really bond with everybody, especially when you're trying to create a friendship dynamic on screen.
Oh, sure. I mean, you have
Yeah.
to believe that you're mates. You've been mates for
Yeah,
a long time.
exactly.
Mm. And you sit down next to the late Julian Sands, and you're talking about knitting at one point. And I thought that was
Mhm.
really significant because Not many other actors could say that they sat down with Julian Sands and talked about knitting.
Yeah. I know he was, I mean, so
How was
amazing
he?
to work with.
Yeah,
Incredible. And you know what was really nice when you meet someone like that who's such an industry veteran and has had this beautiful career, and obviously you feel like, oh my God, but he was just so grounded and so passionate and just about the work. And he was there for every single pre sort of rehearsal, and we did lots of workshopping, and he was just, you don't always expect someone like that to be part of that. And he
yeah,
just was so passionately a part of that, and also so encouraging and positive, um, and just such a like stunning energy to be around. He, yeah, and even when we're shooting and the camera's not on him, and he'd give it each line to you like 100% every time. Like he give you everything, which is, he's a generous actor, which was so lovely. And yeah, I feel very, very privileged to have been able to work with him.
did he give you any advice, or did he talk to you off screen about anything? Is there any little moments that you remember?
Yeah, I mean, he was also quite mischievous. He definitely had like a big
Right.
mischievous energy. And actually, I mean, I'm sure Alex, who plays Brett, will probably tell his story way better than me, but they had a moment one morning. So they would sort of pick us up on these speedboats and give you your life jacket, got to put your life jacket on, very,
Right.
serious safety, get your life jacket on and go to the main sort of boat that we were set up on. That was like the green room. I think it was like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
in the morning, and Alex is trying to put this thing on. He can't quite remember how to do it. And Julian just goes, oh, just got to pull that toggle. And he's like, oh, okay. Pulls it. Obviously, the whole thing inflates. The crew is fuming because now the whole thing's inflated and they have to reset it. And he's just sitting there having like a little giggle in the boat in the corner. Alex is trying to put this whole situation back together. So he definitely had a fun, mischievous energy as well, which was
Oh, that's
always
really nice to hear,
always
because
welcome.
I've been watching him like pretty much almost my whole life,
Yeah.
like different movies that he's been in. So great to hear these sort of behind the scenes stories. Thank you for sharing.
Awesome.
Why are you an actor, Kim? Was there something else that you might have pursued if you weren't an actor, or was it always going to be a performance art for you?
I think so. I think yeah, from when I was really young, when I was like 11, I wanted to be an actor. And I definitely sort of, don't come from a sort of background. My family don't, they're like, what is this thing? What are you doing? What are you trying to, it obviously very supportive, but also at the same time, like very no understanding of it. So it was definitely like a learning curve of trying to figure this like thing out and
Yeah.
how to do this thing. But I actually the first thing that ever made me want to be an actor when I was like 11, I think I watched the first Pirates of the Caribbean film, and I was just like
Wow.
had this like thing in the cinema. I was like this great adventure story, and watching this thing and being so like in awe. I was like, I want to do that. That looks really bloody fun, actually. Um, so yeah, I think it's just that passion for like in the storytelling, but also just enjoying it. And over the years, I've really learned that I love the people and I love that camaraderie on set and
Yeah.
everyone getting together to make this thing. And you don't work in that industry unless you love it, because it's so turbulent and you never
Mm.
know when your next job's coming. So you're then just suddenly on set with all these people who want to make a story and they love it. And that's a really, really fun feeling, I think.
So, being from Essex, has Essex got like a cultural side, an artistic side, a movie sort of acting side, or not really?
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of stuff that shoots in Essex, and I think there's a lot of definitely, it's definitely got its own little subculture, that's for
Right.
sure. Growing up there. And it's also interesting because so Jack, who plays Noah, he also now lives in Essex. He's from up north originally, and he lives in
Yeah.
the hometown that I grew up in and loves it.
Okay.
But I think, yeah, I think especially when it comes to like British gangster films and
Mm,
that sort of Guy Ritchie-esque style
mm,
is
mm.
very the sort of Essex kind of
Okay.
way with that, I think.
Speaking of Guy Ritchie or any director or someone you'd like to collaborate with, is there a director or an actor or colleague that you haven't worked with? That, I mean, I'm sure there's a big list, but is there one or two that you'd love to work with someday?
Definitely Guy Ritchie is one of my like top sort of
Yeah,
people I'd love to work with. I mean, and the dream, ultimate dream, Ridley Scott, obviously, what a
yeah,
legend.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, so definitely those two are like for me. Okay, I've peaked. If that happens, I've peaked, you know.
And is there anything you wouldn't do? So would you shave your head? Like, is there anything like things you're open to anything for a role, or would there be limits?
I think it depends on the script. I think, you know,
Mm,
what's meant for you won't pass you by kind of vibes. If you get a script and you love a role and then the right person is willing to do that role. So if I'm making sense here, if it's right for you
yeah.
and you feel that connection with the character and the story, then yeah, I wouldn't ever want to like limit myself with that
Mm,
sort of thinking and being like, no, I'm never, you know, I think leaving yourself open to what's thrown at you is also kind of important. You never know, you might do something completely different that you never thought you'd do.
true. Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
I think you should think outside the box, and
Yeah.
you, definitely, like that's a common statement, I guess, for most actors. But you should really not be typecast and just think, well, I'm
Yeah.
uncomfortable with rom-coms, but I'm going to do a rom-com anyway, or I'm uncomfortable with an action movie, but I'm going to do
100%.
an action movie anyway.
Yeah, and I think as well in the industry, it's kind of this thing now where it used to be like, what's your casting type? And I know for like London, it's less about that. It's like, why limit yourself?
Yeah,
Like, yes, you should know your sort of niche and what you are more likely to be seen for, obviously. But
yeah,
I hear a lot of agents speaking about, don't why say your casting type? You can might fit into so much more than that. So yeah, I
yeah.
think I think it's important to be open, basically.
Uh, what are you up to next? Is there any exclusives that you can tell me about, or anything upcoming that I should know about in 2025 and beyond?
I have a film coming out this year called An Enemy Within, with Will Moseley and Alexander Lincoln. So I actually don't know when that's due out, sometime this year, but it's a very Knives Out style thriller, which was
Cool.
really fun to do. Never had gun training before, so very fun to. All I say is run around a big manor house in the countryside in a wedding dress wearing a shotgun. That's what dreams are made of, right? So yeah, so that's definitely coming out this year, which will be good.
Look, Kim, gun training can't be that bad because you completed a operation underwater. So
Yeah, I mean that
that's pretty cool.
exactly. Yeah, I mean I didn't expect to ever do that, so that's definitely one to be open about as well. So yeah, the gun training was fun though. I was like, I like this. This is, yeah.
And I've got to mention it. Your eyebrows are perfect. Do you do anything to them, or are they just natural?
Thanks. That is just a little plot and a little
No,
brushing up. Yeah, but thank you.
no, they were spectacular in the last breath, and just talking to you now, they're exactly the same. So I just thought, well, might as well ask
Definitely
because.
compliment. Thank you.
So the final word from you, please. The last breath. Australian audiences are going to get a chance to, either buy, rent it on digital platforms.
Mhm.
It's
Okay.
available on DVD as well if you collect old
Oh,
school physical media.
retro.
Why should people watch it? Like in your own words.
I think if you want to watch, if you love a shark film, or even if you don't, you want to watch something that's fun, has a bit of a scare, has something new to the genre, definitely, and just something to enjoy. You want a little Friday evening film to enjoy and forget about the week and have a bit of fun with, I think. Yeah.
It's almost like a shark movie without being a shark movie at some
Mm,
point, because it takes some time to get there, and
yeah.
it's the build up and it's the relationship and of the chemistry of the cast, and that's what I think works the most. And then
Hmm.
the second half of the movie is, elevated by a few scares. So it's sort of
Yeah.
two movies in one.
For sure. And you know, as well, back to Julian, I think one of the things he also said about the project that
Okay.
was really special for him, it's one of the few projects where he's been able to use his home accent. So I think he took a lot of joy in that. And, you know, also just watching him enjoy this really fun character was really special. So I think that's also another massive reason for people to watch.
I'm really glad you said that because some people who might not know Julian Sands that well or haven't seen all his films might think his natural accent was something else, but that was his natural
Mhm.
accent. Exactly.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
different
I
to
think he
what
put a
people
little bit of
have
a
heard.
twist on it, but yeah. Which was also fun because I didn't know he was going to do it. So we do the table read and everyone's in America, and he just cracks out this awesome Yorkshire accent. I was like, oh, hi.
It's great. And I really appreciate your time. So it was lovely to meet you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.